So we left Terempa with the idea that we would go to Talaga, which was a place that we anchored on our way over, but didn't enjoy because the weather was too bad. But as we were leaving, we thought we might just pop in somewhere else instead, a little bit closer to Terempa, before you get to Talaga, is this spot here, which is Genting Unjut. We had a look at the map, we had a look at Overtal, and we could see that there was one place that looked quite good. It's this particular bay here. It goes into a V and it has reef all the way down the side, and at the front there is a nice looking beach, and then there's two bommies. Shelves up to about 7 meters and drops back to 20-30. We dropped in, what was it, 10 meters?
8 in the end.
8 meters. And we've drifted back, and we're in about 16 meters now. We've got just over 40 meters of chain plus the snubber. So we're sitting tight at the moment. It looks very beautiful. We were a little worried on the way over because there's quite a swell out there, quite a big swell, even as we were coming in. So we said if it was too bad in here, we wouldn't stay, but looks pretty good.
As you may be able to see behind me is rather gorgeous turquoise seas. This is going to be probably one of the last anchorages that we go to before we actually leave the Anambas. We've already checked out, of course. But funny enough, it is actually one of the most beautiful anchorages we've been to as well. As Liz explained yesterday, this is surrounded by reef, which a lot of these anchorages are. There is only room for one boat. So it's a V-shaped reef. It drops down to 8 meters where we dropped the hook and ended up in 15 meters. Anyway, I just thought we'd give you a little guided tour of this anchorage. Now, unfortunately, because of my terrible flesh-eating disease that I have on my leg, I can't really go in the water, which is a bit of a shame because we understand that this is one of the best places to do snorkeling around here, which is a bit of a shame. Behind me, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little hut up on the hill, and I've been looking at it through the binoculars, and it looks like I assume it belongs to a fisherman or something. There's no one there at the moment, but he has cultivated a bit of land, and I can see through the binoculars he's growing maize. So I'm intrigued to know what it is. I probably won't climb up there because it's quite steep. But lots of shallow reef all the way around. Then there's an isthmus which I flew the drone up over, which we can see over to the other side, and it is absolutely gorgeous. As you can see, we've got the weather on our side, so everything's looking pretty cool. Anyway, Liz is somewhere over there on the kayak doing some exploring, so let's just have a little pootle around this bay and make the most of one of our last places in the Anambas. Taken the dinghy to shore, and we've got the polarizing filter on the lens, so of course everything should be lovely and blue. You can see behind me that actually it's all rather green here, and that's because there's some algae. There's a line of algae that's growing all the way along the shore here. This is the first and only time we've seen this in the Anambas. We've been seeing big clumps of algae floating past Esper, so I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. It's obviously the water's nutritious enough for something to grow in it. A lot of fish activity over there as well. The sun has now come round and it's directly above us. As you know, we always love coming out in the middle of the day, so it's nice and hot, but you may be able to see over my shoulder now that the sun is lighting up Esper, and that rather gorgeous turquoise blue little V shape that leads into the anchorage And I think I might send the drone up now and just get a nice aerial shot of Esper at anchor with the mountains of Sianta, which is the island which Terempa is on, behind.
Like Siantan, the other large island in the Anambas group, Jemaja also has a waterfall. It's quite different. It's very, very lush, and to get here by bike we went through forests of fern and all kinds of amazing jungle. And here we are now. It's cool, it's lovely despite my sweat. Very trickling river at the top here, and then the waterfall falls away behind me. It's really very pretty here. I love it.
And so there ends our trip to the Anambas, sadly. I thought it was quite a nice touch just to finish on those rolling countryside shots, because the Anambas, the beauty of the Anambas isn't just about the coral reefs and the turquoise waters. The two main islands of Siantan and Jemaja are just as beautiful inland as well. So I just thought it was a nice way to end. We'll wrap up our thoughts on the Anambas in a moment, but just before we do that, I just wanted to pick up on my horrible flesh-eating disease. A number of you commented on that last week, and we thank you very much for your thoughts and ideas. Just to put it in perspective, Millie caused the scratch, but she got a bit of bad press out of it because she's not an aggressive cat, and it wasn't done on purpose. It was just something she sometimes does at 4 in the morning. She likes to jump on the bed and wake us up, and she uses our legs as ladders. So it's a fairly innocuous scratch that we've had a few times before. But this one was a little bit different, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, usually it's just there's no blood and we just ignore them. But this time you had it for a few days before you showed it to me, and it was just getting worse. It was weeping and it was all red round the outside. So clearly my thought was it's infected and it needs antibiotic treatment.
Well, so that's when we went to the chemist, which you saw in last week's episode, and we tried this antibiotic cream, and it did absolutely nothing.
No, it did nothing at all. It was hopeless.
We were cleaning it with Dettol, which you've later found out you shouldn't do.
That's right, yes. Apparently in the tropics, Dettol doesn't really help at all and can make it worse. So something like hydrogen peroxide diluted is going to be a lot better. And the other thing we were worried about was going in the ocean, because up until then we had thought that the sea actually would help, because we all know that salt water is generally good for wounds, but not in this area. It's full of all kinds of parasites and bacteria and things, so you really shouldn't, if you've caught yourself anywhere near coral or any of that kind of water, put any open wound in the water. We've discovered. A friend of ours, Peter, married to Helena on Valhalla, had a similar problem, and he didn't look after it. He washed it now and again. He didn't look after it, and after a while, it got bigger and bigger and became the size of a fist, until he got red lines following his veins coming from this thing. He had to go to hospital, see a doctor, have it drained, and it took 2 months of very painful treatment for it to finally go. So basically you can get blood poisoning or even sepsis from something like this, just the tiniest little thing. So we did learn a lot. The antibiotic cream didn't work, but I had on board some ciprofloxacin, which had been suggested that we have from our friend Ned, who had had similar problems coming through that area. And I'm very glad I had it because I gave it to you when the cream didn't work, and it cleared it up.
Cleared it up. Started, you could see, within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I think it was a 3-day course, maybe 5. Yeah, and it cleared it up straight away. But I have to say, even I was worried, and I normally, the odd scratch I ignore, but even I was starting to get a bit worried. And many weeks later now, I've still got, I mean, it's obviously cleared up, but I've got 2 horrible scars here because those wounds were really deep.
Yes, because the bacteria just digs deeper and deeper into your flesh. So it's, yeah, it's not something to take lightly, it really is. You've got to be careful about that.
Lesson learned.
Yeah. So we'll wrap up now, and Jamie, I just wondered if you have any thoughts on the Anambas.
Well, it just so happens that when we were in Genting, I grabbed you one evening and asked you for your thoughts, and I think you sum the whole experience up perfectly. This is what you said.
I'm trying to work out why it is that the Anambas has affected me so much, and there's probably what it is the variety of things that we've seen, the variety of places we've been to. So first of all, let's take wildlife. We've just seen 2 eagles playing above us, one of which is a parent, the other one's a juvenile. You can hear hornbills crying throughout the day. You can see terns and all kinds of bird life. So there's that. There's the stuff in the water. We've seen so many turtles, loads of fish we've never seen before, extraordinary coral. Yeah, there is some bleaching, but there's also some great reefs as well. And that's just the life. Then there's the human life. The people here have been extraordinarily welcoming. And with our Google Translate Bahasa and their little bit of English, we've had some fantastic conversations, laughter and tears. great stuff. Really, really lovely people, incredibly welcoming. And of course, we're fairly unusual. They don't really get that many visitors here, so they're always very inquisitive when they see us. There's that. There's the extraordinary anchorages like this one. You can only get one boat in here. It's a V shape, very deep reef all the way around. Couple of bommies in the middle. Blue lagoon, which is where we're anchored. You can see the chain. You can see the anchor. We've had some sailing, quite a bit of motoring. The jungle. Oh gosh, I can't think what else. It's all of those things. It's just an astounding mixture of places, and so incredibly unspoilt. People don't know about this place. People have never heard of it. I've been doing searches, Google searches, and there's hardly anything on the Anambas. It's really new to tourism. There isn't a hotel. There's one very small island that has the beginnings of a resort on it. And in the capital, which has about, I don't know, less than 1,000 people, there's a hotel. Other than that, it's kind of every cruiser's dream to come somewhere like this. It's why we live on a boat.
Okay, so we hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to share it, to like it, and if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And don't worry, even though the Anambas is now over, we have a whole load of stuff happening in 2018. We're going to be making some announcements about where we plan to go next, and we'd like to get you involved as well. So go and check out followtheboat.com/thanks. And in the meantime,
Peace and fair winds.